Good evening. My name is Richard Zowie, and this is the first podcast of what I hope will be many episodes of Inside Jupiter, exploring Asperger's and ADHD. Again, my name is Richard Zowie. I live in Texas. I'm 52 years old. I work at a nonprofit helping veterans. I'm also a writer, a broadcaster, and I'm hoping to get into voiceover work and write fiction and continue blogging. I decided to do this podcast. I've been wanting to do podcasts for a while. You always wonder, what can you do in a podcast that hasn't been done already? And I keep thinking people need to have a better understanding of what it's like to have Asperger's and ADHD. And I've been diagnosed with both of them. I've been on medications for ADHD. I'll talk about that down the road. And I was also diagnosed as being high probability range for Asperger's by a licensed counselor back around 2009. And she told me about the things with Asperger's, and I thought, yeah, that is me to a T. So let me start by saying how I came up with the name of this. It's called, again, Inside Jupiter, Exploring Asperger's and ADHD. It's called Inside Jupiter because Jupiter, not so much a planet, more of an object that wasn't quite big enough to become a star. It's more of a gas giant. There's no solid surface in Jupiter. Scientists aren't exactly sure what's in there, but they do think once you get past the clouds and all the hectic weather that goes on there, it's a gigantic ocean of metallic liquid hydrogen. And they believe it's that way because hydrogen, under several million atmospheres of pressure, starts to behave like a metal. And since it's very hot there, it melts and becomes a fluid. But again, a lot of Jupiter is still very much a mystery. And a lot of people I've learned don't really understand what Asperger's is about or ADHD. And so in this intro, I'll tell you a little bit more about what I will be discussing. ADHD, very short attention span. It's like having 200 tabs open on your internet file. It's really hard to get things done because you get distracted very easily. In my time with ADHD, I've been on 4 medications. Concerta, like that. Adderall, which was pretty good. Focalin, which was really good. And then I was also on Ritalin. I'm sorry, not Ritalin. I was also on Prozac. Maybe later on down the road I'll talk about it, but I'll just say this. I did not like Prozac. After about 2 days, I was married at the time. When I told my wife what it was like, she said to me, go to the bathroom, flush it. So that's what I did. But the other ones worked pretty well. I have since learned that when you get good sleep, and I've had sleep apnea for a while, having good sleep helps your attention span to become a lot more manageable. And I've also learned to manage it by keeping my notes and schedule on Google. So, and for the first time and forever, I'm getting up in the morning, reading the Bible, and I'm actually tomorrow going to be finishing the entire Bible after starting in January. So, but ADHD is something you learn to deal with on a daily basis, one step at a time. You constantly have to do what Bruce Lee said. Keep what works, discard what does not work, and add what is uniquely your own. Asperger's. That, people debate exactly how to describe it. People usually say it's on the spectrum, which means it's a form of autism. I would say it's probably a mild form of autism, and there's a lot of misperceptions. No, I do not count cards, so don't bother asking me to go to Vegas and help you rip off the house. Yes, I do have certain obsessions. Some are embarrassing. I don't know if I'll discuss them. I'm a pen lover. I love having pens and notebooks because a good pen, good notebook means creative ideas flow like water. I love ducks. That's a major passion of mine as well. When I was in the Army, I was on a major Stanley Kubrick kick, so I would watch his movies whenever I could. And you don't like disruptions in what you're doing. And this may be the same for people who don't have Asperger's, but for me, I do the best I can to treat people with respect. I expect that to be reciprocated. Um, an acquaintance on Facebook, I'll say her name because I love this advice. Her name is Donna Bond. She is the cousin of a friend of mine named Stephanie Crawford. Donna once said on her Facebook page, "I am the nicest person you'll ever meet, but do not disrespect me." And that's exactly what I shoot for. So, with Asperger's, you have a lot of abstract thoughts, and I like to write poetry based on some of those things to give people an idea. And so I'm hoping to have, and of course, with Asperger's also, social skills, it is an uphill battle. Um, Going into bars, not really my thing. I went to a couple of nightclubs recently with some friends in San Antonio, and Richard 10 years ago would have never done that because I'm just not really my thing. But social skills are an uphill battle. Ironically enough, even though I don't have good social skills, public speaking is a piece of cake. I work in broadcasting. I've done community theater. I have emceed events. I would love to keep doing that. So it's funny because I know people who are social butterflies, but you get them up to speak in front of people and they freeze solid. So that's kind of how funny how that works. But and like I said, with this, I'm looking to turn this into a podcast and share many stories of what it's like dealing with Asperger's and ADHD, a lot of the struggles. I know there's a good chance I will have a grandchild that inherits that trait. Thankfully, my sons are all social butterflies. And I can tell you, if a child has ADHD or Asperger's, they have to learn the power of adaptation because the world will not be kind to you when you're different. You'll tell jokes that won't make sense. The world will not be very kind about it. And it's funny because I went to a Christian college, I went into the Army, and ironically, even though a lot of people in the Army did not know the Lord, I felt far more acceptance when I was in the Army than I did at the Christian college. But that's a story for another time. So that's what I will be discussing, and I hope you'll join me as I talk about the journey. Down the road, I may interview my sons on camera, especially if I can get a more elaborate setup. I'm planning on doing this on YouTube, and I'll be releasing this on my podcast on Buzzsprout. This is definitely a work in progress, and I may even do some blogging on one of my blogs too. I'm planning on creating a blog called Inside Jupiter, exploring Asperger's and ADHD. I'm not quite sure what to name it because when it comes to blogs or websites, less is more. So again, I'm Richard Zowie. If you have any questions, drop me a line from A to Zowie, Zowie at gmail.com. If you follow me on Facebook, you can message me there as well. So again, this is Richard Zowie with Inside Jupiter, exploring Asperger's and ADHD. Look forward to talking to you again, and y'all have a good night.